Hi, my name's Sean Thompson. I'm part of the technical services team at Crown Paints and I specialise on Sadolin wood care. In this video, we're going to look at ways and means of keeping your wood looking natural. I know this is the holy grail of all wood stains, trying to find a wood stain that doesn't colour your timber. A lot of people will be asking for a particular wood stain or wood coating product that is not going to impart colour onto the surface of their wood. The key fact is that you have to have pigment within the coating in order for it to provide long-term durability and resistance and protection against UV. If you don't, it will just mean that the wood will still go grey or denature underneath and it will break down in a very, very short period of time. A piece of timber, when it's bare, after about 4 weeks in the UK, the glues that bind all the fibres together on the wood, the lignin, that gets broken down by UV. And in the UK, that's around about the 4-week period that this actually starts. Now, initially, you may notice that to be something like a furry surface to the timber. Eventually, though, after about 6 to 12 months, depending on where the timber is, the type of timber, etc., you will see that it will go grey, which I'm sure everybody is familiar with. This particular surface must not be painted. Whatever coating system that you end up putting on this, it will fail. We've put on this particular piece here, a piece of masking tape, and if we just use this as a replication of what some coating would be on the surface, if we take that up, the actual loose fibres on the surface of the timber easily come away, and this would happen exactly the same with a coating. What would actually happen is that you will get peeling or flaking happen in a very, very short period of time potentially. If it's got that bad, it can be recovered as long as it's not rotten to decay, but it would need mechanical sanding to take all the way back to clean, bright timber. It's the equivalent of about 5 coats of paint in that, so trust me, you don't want to do that by hand. If we've got bare timber, however, obviously we're starting with a clean slate. Now, we've got various products, as you can see in front of me here, that can be used to actually show off the timber. The classic connector that we've shown in previous videos, that has got a range of colours to suit everybody's personal needs. Colour is in the eye of the beholder. What these products are actually trying to do is that they've got more clarity, more translucency within the product so that they will ultimately show the wood off. So there won't be any hiding power whatsoever. There's 2 things that we want to really show you. The first product that we've got is called Sadolin Extra Durable Clear Coat. Now, this particular product here is designed specifically to actually show the wood off. Ideally, it would be used over the top of extra. So if somebody's got a concern over by applying more coats of a brown wood stain that it might look a little bit too thick or opaque in look, then they can use that instead as their replacement maintenance coat, and then they can just use that forevermore without darkening down. If you use it on bare timber, however, that can be done, or it can be used in conjunction with classic. Here's what it would look like on bare timber. Now, what we've got, this particular product has got a satin or a gloss finish. If you actually apply the coating onto a very light timber, you can hopefully see the golden yellow pigmentation in there. That has to be in there. That is what is actually protecting against UV damage. Now, you either like that or you don't, but on dark timbers, you will see that that just gives you like a wetted look. So on medium to dark timbers, these sorts of products on their own are absolutely fantastic. The other product that we want to show you is the Ultra System. Now, moving on from clear coat, the Ultra System, again, gives you a highly translucent protective finish, but this will give you added protection because of the nature of the way that this particular formulation works, where it actively uses the heat and the UV to try and repair itself. The base coat and the top coat are similar in thickness. The base coat has absolutely no pigment in it. Now, this isn't the answer to all your prayers, I'm afraid. What will happen is that this is used purely, as the name says, as a base coat. So it's there to provide the best surface for the top coat to go onto, but also to even out and make an ideal looking base coat. You must then put, for exterior use, 2 coats of the top coat, which, as you can see, that's actually got the colour. But within the Ultra range, there is a range of colours that you can choose and select to complement the colour of your timber. So obviously, the darker the timber, you might want to use a certain colour. A lighter timber, you might want to use another. But don't get caught in the trap that if you've got mahogany, that necessarily mahogany is the right colour, because that might be too dark. That's where we come to our sample pots. These are available specifically in the Ultra range if you contact our customer service centre, and the whole range is actually available in sample pots here. The idea being that you can do a little test application on the timber that's actually being used on site to see which one ultimately looks best. That's the only way that you can tell what's going to look absolutely right. It is impossible for us to say that that particular colour will look right with that particular timber unless you actually try it on the surface. The clear coat product, we'll refer to that as we go through. We're going to actually apply some Ultra product here, so I'll just put that to one side at the moment. Now, just whilst I'm opening this up, this is probably a good opportunity to clarify the terminology of clear, clarity and colourless. The term clear means that you can actually see through the product. It doesn't mean that it hasn't got any colour in it. Colourless obviously means that you don't have any colour in it, but that will be like an interior varnish, and hopefully, as you know, you can't put an interior varnish outside. It would simply leave you with a situation. It's like going outside on a really sunny day without any sunglasses. We can squint, unfortunately wood can't, so what it will do is it will just sunburn and go this grey. These products are obviously highly translucent, clear products, and that's really what we're referring to. Now, this is the base for the Ultra system. Now, this is a system will actually last up to 7 years, so we're pushing the absolute limits now of what is available through highly translucent systems. Once again, stirring, critically important. When you look inside this particular product, even though there's no pigment in it, the actual dryers themselves make it look as if it's got a slight purpley look to it. That's perfectly okay. Stir this up. Now, we've got a pre-prepared board here. Once again, this has gone through the same cleaning regime as before. Basically, we've given this a light rub down to make sure it's got a proper key. We've dusted it off. We've given it a clean with some methylated spirits as appropriate to the timber that's actually been put on there. If obviously that was a very oily timber, because we're using these high quality products, there is more likelihood that you might be using timbers like teak or Iroko. So we've already stated that methylated spirits is our preferred option. You may need to grade up to cellulose thinners to make sure that those surfaces are properly clean. So, as with all the other coating systems, you need to make sure that you're satisfying the absorbency rate of the board. Now, this has got no pigment in it. We're not imparting any colour to the surface. However, whenever you're wetting a wood, it will darken. This is no different to if I was applying water to the surface. Again, that's a very, very simple test that you can do. If you just apply some clean water to wood, that will give you the effect of what it would look like if you put something on which has got no colour on. Just remember, this base coat, it's doing two main jobs. One is satisfying the wood, its porosity, so that when I put the top coats on, they don't disappear into the timber, because I want the top coats to sit on top. That's what's going to give me my protection long term. The other thing is that it gives me an ideal base for the top coats to adhere to. Hopefully what you can pick up on the camera there is that the natural grain within that particular timber board is now actually started to be lifted as part of a feature. Remember, these products are there to show the wood off. If you've got defects or repairs, they're not there to hide it. That's what the other products within the range are there to actually solve that particular issue. That's your base coat. That would actually take 12 to 16 hours to dry. The following day, we're now talking about putting our top coat on, of which you need to have 2 coats of that system. So again, we're talking about a 3-coat system for this, but we are looking for something that's up to 7 years with the full system. This particular board has obviously had a base coat, but also had 1 coat of the top coat as well. So we're showing you the final part of the process here. The pigments that are actually used within this product, these are what we call iron oxide pigments rather than titanium oxide pigments. This gives you the clarity within the product, but it also gives you added UV protection. UV inhibitors within them as well. That helps to prolong the life of the coating as well. And as I said, this actually got the active ingredients within this particular formulation mean that it is actively using the heat and the UV to actually partially repair itself as well. This all leads up to the maximum up to 7 years protection. With the clear coat products, Once again, an excellent product. It's got the UV inhibitors and the excellent pigmentation in there in order to give you the clarity. With this particular system, you're probably getting up to 6 years. This one here, you're getting up to 7 years. So what we'll do now is we'll put a top coat on this, and then you can see that when the top coats actually have the pigmentation in them, you can see that the actual change in colour is minimal. But like I said earlier, what you need to do is to select a colour that complements the wood or meets your client's requirements or your own requirements, as the case may be. This particular product here, this is what we call a high solid product. So ultimately, there is more product within this can that is going to end up dry on the surface of your wood. Okay, so again, that means that ultimately the dry film build is going to be thicker than what, say, the clear coat or the extra would be, and then what you'll get is a situation whereby the actual product itself will last longer. So this particular board, as I mentioned earlier, this has actually already had a base coat and one top coat. So all I'm doing now is the third and final coat. Whilst the product in the can might look as if it's actually quite dark, you can see that when you actually apply the product onto the surface, the clarity comes into its own. So let me just lay that off. As a system, Ultra, 1 coat of base coat, 2 coats of top coat, that's our optimum performance from a highly translucent product. So that's up to 7 years protection. People ask, can we just use the top coat? Yeah, absolutely. If you just use that without the base coat, aesthetically you might not get as good a finish, but it will give you up to 5 years protection. So there's an option B. The good thing is that you could use that as your maintenance coat instead. So there's another option for you as well. All three of these systems, clear coat and the Ultra systems, they're excellent for if you don't want to bring a colour down or if you want to show off the timber. Okay. The clear coat will give you a satin or a gloss finish, but obviously it's just in the one colour shade. The Ultra, that will give you normally a semi-gloss finish ultimately, but what it will do is it will give you a range of colours to help obviously give you and your client something that hopefully you can achieve that colour match so that they get their timber to actually show off the best that they possibly can do and keep all parties happy, whilst also giving the durability and protection that it needs. So that's our range of highly translucent products to help keep the wood look as natural as it can be. Just to show you a couple of examples when we've actually finished, here we go. These are Ultra in a range of shades there, sort of pine, antique pine as well. And as you can see, the different types of timber, this is oak and this is just like a hardboard. Hopefully you can see that the actual relatively cheap board like hardboard can actually be brought out to make it look absolutely fabulous. So in this video, we've given you all the tips that you need to keep the wood looking as natural and as beautiful as it possibly can do. We've shown you Sadolin Ultra and we've shown you Sadolin Clear Coat and how those particular products work and apply. That will allow you to make the wood look absolutely fantastic, show it off, keep its beauty and give it the durability that it needs.